Welcome to Make It Happen with me, your host, Maggie. What we feed ourselves has a pretty profound impact on how our bodies function and how we feel. The importance of nutrition needs no introduction, but what if I told you that your intake of super healthy, nutrient-dense foods is so powerful that it could actually negate the negative impacts of food such as those that are ultra processed. A few weeks ago, we talked about the very clear relationship between ultra processed foods and overeating. Not only that, but we took a closer look at what UPFs really are and how they are negatively impacting our health overall. This was episode number 27. If you haven't listened yet, I promise it's worth your time. But to piggyback on this episode, it's important that I share this new research study with you today. Remember when I said that my house isn't absent of UPFs? That we consume them, but we fill up on and prioritize nutrient-dense, whole, or minimally processed foods first. Well, the science says I'm onto something, and I am pretty excited about it. First and foremost, consuming UPFs is associated with an increase in metabolic syndrome risk. If you've not heard of metabolic syndrome before, it refers to a group of 5 cardiometabolic risk factors. 1, abdominal obesity. 2, high blood pressure. 3, high fasting blood glucose or blood sugar. 4, high blood triglycerides, which is the fat circulating in your blood. And 5 is having low HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol. If an individual has 3 of these, then they have metabolic syndrome, which increases the person's risk of developing cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, several cancers, and even a higher risk of all-cause mortality. In summary, you do not want metabolic syndrome. If you're listening to this and you have already been told that you do have metabolic syndrome, lifestyle changes can make a profound impact, both short and long term. Okay, so back to UPFs. Again, they are associated with an increased risk of developing metabolic syndrome. But this newly published study wanted to see if this risk could be negated with fruit and vegetable consumption. The cohort study had a follow-up period of approximately 9 years. At baseline, dietary intake was assessed by a dietitian in face-to-face interviews using a food frequency questionnaire. UPF was defined by the NOVA classification system, which categorizes foods according to the extent and purpose of food processing. UPFs included foods with hydrogenated fat, as well as those such as mayo and margarine, potato chips, biscuits, processed meats like sausage, pizza, sugar-sweetened beverages, cakes, candies, cookies, ice cream, and pastries. And on a small side note, I love both pizza and ice cream. The participants with the lowest and the highest UPF intakes were compared and adjusted for an assortment of confounders such as age, gender, family history, cholesterol, physical activity, and smoking status, all of which are factors that could affect the study results. As expected, what they found was that those who consumed the highest amounts of ultra-processed foods also had the highest risk of developing metabolic syndrome. But they also found that the risk of metabolic syndrome was modified by fruit and vegetable intake. Specifically, that UPF consumption increased the risk of metabolic syndrome only in individuals who consumed less than 250 grams per day of fruits and vegetables. And the benefits seemed to be linear. They found that consuming less than 540 grams per day of fruits and vegetables increased risk in those with higher levels of UPFs in their diet. But this association disappeared when intake of fruits and vegetables was above 540 grams per day. Their results suggest that consuming more fruits and vegetables mitigated the adverse effect of UPFs on the risk of developing metabolic syndrome. Think about your fruit and vegetable consumption and maybe even weigh it on a kitchen scale the next time that you head to the kitchen. 1 pound equals 453 grams. According to this study, having an intake of 540 grams made any risk of developing metabolic syndrome from UPFs completely go away. So to put this in context, I would recommend that you shoot for over a pound of fruit and vegetables every day. And this really isn't hard with a little practice. 1 medium banana is about 120 grams, a half a cup of blueberry, 75 grams, 1 cup of broccoli plus 1 cup of cauliflower rice plus half a cup of edamame weighs around 275 grams. And by the way, this combo of broccoli, cauliflower, edamame with a little avocado and nutritional yeast, one of my favorites. Okay, we've made it to 470 grams with everything I just shared. Add an apple and you've surpassed 540 grams. See, it wasn't that hard. So as I've been saying for years, and I love it when the science suggests I'm right, for now anyways, eat your fruits and vegetables. It's okay to have UPFs, or ultra-processed foods, in your diet. But in order to mitigate their negative effects, it is important to prioritize nutrition. Again, this isn't hard with some practice. And what do I always say? Start slow. If you're not a big fruit and vegetable person, add them in slowly and find ways to consume them that you enjoy. There is always going to be something negative that hits headlines, and UPFs deserve the bad press. But that doesn't mean avoiding them 100% is necessary to keep our health a priority. Remember, not everything is cut and dry, black and white, and there is almost always something that you can do to offset something negative with a positive. This is a common theme here on this podcast, but I'll keep bringing the evidence to support it so that you can live healthfully and confidently, even with some ice cream in there, as long as you're consuming your fruits and veggies, just to drive that home one more time. That's all for today, friends. Go make it happen.